Greetings and God bless. So I was listening to talk about the Civil War and how the Civil War was based on the North was taxing the South up to 45, nearly 50% of their income. So the North got the majority of the power, and Abraham Lincoln was like, yeah, we're going to tax the South up to 49% for 50% of their income to support us, to support our causes. And that was, and if we look back at the American Revolution, so that was the Civil War, the American Revolution was about King George taxing the Americans without representation, right? So that seems to be a trend here in America. So King George was taxing Americans on tea and stamps and whatever. And then once the North got into power with Abraham Lincoln, they're like, okay, we're going to tax the South. Now, everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, that's good. You should punish the South. But if you look into it, only 5% of white people had slaves in the South. And who brought the slaves there? The slaves were brought from Northerners, by Northerners. Northerners uh, had the ships, and if you really look into slavery, I mean, it's like progressive liberals do not want to look into it, just like they don't want to look into who started the Democratic Party, that the KKK was made up of the Democratic Party, that the Republicans were, about more about freedom and equal rights. But from what I heard or read recently, it's the first slave owner in America was a black person, and buying a slave, another black person. And progressive liberals find that incredibly shocking. But in Africa, like Africans had African slaves, and there's just this self-loathing that Americans do, and this race beating Americans do, and they'll ignore history. So, anyways, is it fair? Would it be fair for the North to expect the South to, the North only pays 20% of taxes, but the South has to pay 50%? Like, does anybody see any problem with that? So, the American Revolution was fought on taxation without representation. The Civil War was fought about taxation without representation. And what's going on right now? So I think America is being attacked on every single level. Now, does anybody see any problem with? So before the stuff going on in the Ukraine, we were sending billions to the Middle East to push a gay and trans agenda. Literally, like look it up. Like millions were sent by the Biden administration to the Middle East to push this gay thing, this trans stuff, to go to the Middle East, okay? And then the war started in Ukraine, and we're sending billions. We got all these homeless people, we've got natural disasters going on, but no, we're going to send billions so Zelensky's mom can buy a luxurious villa, and so all these other Ukrainian people can buy planes and villas and stuff like that. This is not going to the individuals. And if anybody has ever followed any catastrophe, that is how it goes. All the Haiti money, not one drop went to any Haiti victim. It always goes to corrupt officials. Other monies that went to Africa or wherever, it always goes to corrupt officials. It never goes to the original people. And nobody bothers to audit. They just feed this evil system. And we're just in this evil world. So I consider sending money to the Middle East to push the gay trans agenda, to push this war, this to like try to do some weird globalist stuff. And like now there's IRS people who are shooting people. They're shooting each other by accident. Like the IRS is getting trained with guns, okay? And I was just listening to this thing about the South, that that's similarly like what happened with the South. Lincoln had sent an armada of tax collectors to the South at the beginning, I guess, of the war, or of the beginning of the conflict. And that to me is what's going on again. And with our current situation, it's not even taxation without representation. It's like schools are pushing this gay, trans, pedophile grooming, sex grooming agenda in schools. And they're saying it's so important that children, have to be gayified and transified. Like, what is going on? I mean, this is nightmare material. I mean, even gay people in at the turn of the century, even trans people at the turn of the century, any sane one would not be like, oh yeah, we got to make sure everything's gay and trans in school and entertainment and politics and government and everything. Like, just because all these children who have been indoctrinating are identifying as confused, that's not because that's what they are naturally. uh, and like in the 90s, there would be like scenes like there people would see two male ducks together, or two male dolphins together, or two whatever animals together, of the same sex, and people would be like, oh, see, being gay is natural because those two dogs are being gay together, or those two cats are being gay together. And that was before people understood that there's hormone disruptors in the food, air, water. And so when there's hormone disruptors and other environmental pollutants, as well as injections and who knows what else, that does alter people's behavior. It alters animals' behavior, and just everything. So because I used to be like, oh, okay, these two ducks are doing it, whatever. But if we had an actual clean environment and clean air and clean food and no EMFs, that are man-made polluting EMFs, and no injections and whatnot, no heavy metals and stuff, then animals would do as they have been for thousands of years, and as would humans. So I do believe that there's all this estrogen disruption going on, all this estrogen, these estrogen mimics in plastics and beer, and off gassing on from computers and just other environmental exposures, and along with supernatural stuff that's going on. So yeah, so it's very interesting that there's the same technique is used against America time and time again: taxation without representation. Um, and so I think right now Americans are being taxed, not just monetarily, but their children are like a commodity. And there's probably other deeper ways to look into this, but I just wanted to put that out there. So what do you guys think? Thanks for watching.